Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Insufficient Friends. I'm Kevin. She's Nikki.
Hi. Did I get it that time?
Yeah, you're a little bit better that time. So Nick,
on my end, I started talking before you ended.
Okay, that's interesting. I think we're just gonna have the delay. I think that's just what it's gonna be. Because otherwise it's a little awkward. So if you notice, we're wearing the same things because we just did another episode, one from last week we just did. And because we've got stuff to do, and we are just doing two recordings this week. So fun times. Today we're talking about Dolly Parton.
Yes.
Who is?
I am so excited. I don't think I've ever been so excited for an episode. I probably have. But
what about One Direction?
Oh yeah, we did talk about Harry. Yeah, that's hard. They're always tied in my heart. I really can't choose.
Dolly and One Direction?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So let's just get right into it. Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Dolly.
Wait, first,
what?
I wanted to
dedication.
dedicate
You got a dedication.
this episode.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So to my mom, Suze, good old Suze, she instilled in me the love for Dolly.
Okay.
And I appreciate her for that because now it is my entire personality. So thanks, Mom, for my personality. So this episode is dedicated to Suze.
Well, thank you for instilling the Dolly Parton in our friend Nikki here. But anyway, Dolly Parton is a staple. She's been around for a long time now, and she continues to be a just seemingly an amazing person, and just a talented, obviously a talented woman as well. Which is crazy that she started basically in a one-room shack with, was it 12 siblings? Uh-huh. Is that right?
Yeah, she's the fourth of 12. Yep. So she was born January 19th, 1946 in a one-room cabin on the banks of Little Pigeon River in Pittman, Tennessee. Yeah, fourth of 12 children, which is crazy. I hated sharing a bathroom with one brother, much less like 11 other siblings plus your parents. That's
just crazy.
Insane.
And the fact that it was also, it's not just sharing a bathroom, it's sharing the one room, because it is just
whole
one
entire
room.
House. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, I don't even know how you have 12 people living there, or 14 people living there.
It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just crazy. But anyway, she rose to fame at some point.
Yes. In her childhood. So first and I'll mention her parents and some of her family because she credits her family with a lot of her inspiration. You know how a lot of musical artists have other musical artists as inspiration?
Yeah.
She is very much like, I'm inspired by my mom, my dad, and my aunt. And of course she has other musical influences, but those were like her inspirations. So her mom, Avie, and her dad, Robert Lee, but he went by Lee. So Lee worked in the mountains of East Tennessee, was a sharecropper, and then also did other like odd jobs to keep the family afloat. And he was illiterate. So we can talk about this later when we talk about like the nonprofit and things, but because that is important later. But he was illiterate, but always worked so hard that she credits him with the inspiration for a lot of things.
Okay.
Like the business savvy side of things as well.
Okay.
And then her mother was obviously caretaker, and was always singing. And so she said, her mom was always singing, even when she was in like poor health and doing other things. She was always singing like old folklore songs and ancient ballads. So she also says, which of course this is fascinating to me, their ancestors, the immigrants that came over from the UK, what is now the UK, basically. She said her mom would sing a lot of like old ballads, and that actually inspired a lot of her more spoken songs, or just some of her different songs that are more like that.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So that was kind of her upbringing, a small part of it. Now, this is like surface level. There are so many good movies and documentaries about her upbringing.
Yeah.
And some that she's producer on that go way more in depth. And they're so good, so fascinating, especially the movies where she has, like a little girl play her, and it's so good.
Okay. And by the way, if you notice that Nikki is being very thorough with this, she's just skimming the surface. How many pages of notes do you have, Nick?
I have 3 pages of notes. And for reference, for the last episode, I had 0 pages of notes and 2 Google tabs open.
That was for the cults, by the way. So if you didn't watch that, go back and watch that one after this one's done. But we can see where kind of where the feeling lies in this. Something that she knows nothing about. We don't have any notes. Something that she could probably spew to you about off the top of her head. Yeah. We got 3 pages. So
and I'm skipping through some of my notes.
We're probably all a little thankful for highlights. That. We're probably all a little thankful for that. Yeah.
It'd be probably a pretty boring podcast.
I mean, I like Dolly. I don't know. Even if you don't like her music, I don't know if there's a way you cannot like Dolly, because she just seems like the nicest person ever.
Yeah, she really is.
And she does we just talked about the what's the library called? The thing that she's doing right now?
The Imagination
Library is just a charity that it's just, there's so many things that she does to try to help people, and it's just great. Like, but anyway, so obviously she, inspiration, family, and everything, and how did she get to be famous? Like, what happened? Because there had to have been something. Because I don't really know anything about this.
Good question, Kev. Let me tell you. Because I have a note on it.
What did I do?
So, and it could make me laugh. In 1965, so she was 19.
Okay.
She first signed with Monument Records, and they labeled her as like this bubblegum pop type singer. They kind of pigeonholed her because of her pitch of voice, tone of voice. But so she had a country-ish single that charted, and then they finally let her there was other stuff that happened, but they finally were like, okay, sure, you can do country. And so then her first official country single, Dumb Blonde, which I love that song so much. So I don't think she actually wrote that one. I think she just recorded it, sung it. Yeah. So it reached number 24 on the country chart in 1967. So that was her first single that her company was like, okay, yeah, sure, you can go country, whatever. And so that same year is when Porter Wagner came into play, which he's a massive country legend. And that is the pivotal time. That is, if I had to answer your question of like, how did she rise to the stardom? Of course, it was on her own. She made it on her own, but being on his show gave her like more of the stage.
And that was her first like big name duet partner, right? Like that was her, because she had him as a duet partner, and then later it was Kenny Rogers was her other big duet partner.
And tons along the way.
I mean, she's done
so many.
She's done collaborations,
duets, collaborations. Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember if I read this somewhere, if this is actually true, but she's like one of the highest number of collabs like ever.
Really?
And duets. Yeah, because she has a ton.
Interesting.
So yeah, the Porter Wagner show gave her like that stage to promote herself even more.
Okay.
And so they did that for a couple of years. And then, so her first solo single after leaving, or no, this was right before, Just Because I'm a Woman. That's a really influential, what you would now probably call like feminist, but really influential song, reached number 17.
Okay.
But then that was in 1968. By 1970, this is when her and Porter kind of started to be on the outs, not personally like disliking each other or anything, but just
the
show, stepping away, because her solo chart only had a couple successes. So he persuaded her to record Mule Skinner Blues, which I love that song. It's so good. Very bluegrassy. And it just shot up in the charts. And so after that, she just piggybacked off of that, came up with some other singles, Joshua, Coat of Many Colors, and then Jolene. So that was like height of probably a lot of the songs that people think of, you know, now.
Okay.
Nowadays.
Out of all the songs you have mentioned so far, I have known 2.
And I've known all of them.
I've known the names. I don't know that I could. I know Jolene. Like, I've heard that. I know I've heard that. I know kind of the tune to that. I don't know that I know the tune to Mule Skinner Blues, but I've heard of the name before. So
yeah, it's like a very folk song. Like it's one of those that so many people have sang.
Okay.
And re-recorded and made their own.
Okay. I'm not yawning
so
because I find this boring, by the way. I'm just tired. Not to offend
Kevin, I need you to be laser focused like
offend, I am. Not to offend any Dolly Parton lovers, namely Nikki, or Dolly herself, because of course she's watching this because that's how popular we are.
My God, Kevin, I just had like a heart palp. If she listens to this, I will die because this is horrible. This is such a bad version of her life and success. Oh my God, please don't listen to this.
Well, if she is listening to it,
my face is getting red. Anyways, what I was gonna say, when you said I only know a couple songs, so there's a really good Netflix special. I don't remember the name of it, but they took a bunch of different of her songs, and she produced on this as well, and made each song into like its own episode, and did like not necessarily like a backstory. It was more like a fictional story based on the lyrics of the song.
Okay.
So like for Jolene, they did an episode, and the main character was Jolene, and then there were so many good ones. That it's a really good Netflix special. So like if you don't know a lot of her songs and don't feel like listening but like watching things, those are really good because her songs are a small part of it, but it's like little mini shows based on her songs, kind of.
Okay. That sounds
very interesting.
Actually. Yeah, that's a cool concept to get like your music into another format. That's really neat. That's a cool idea, actually. That's a really neat idea.
It is. Like Two Doors Down is another one of her popular songs, and this episode there was really nothing about Two Doors Down that much in it, but it was like a wedding and people about to get married, and then there was drama, and it was just like a little mini TV show episode almost. It's a very interesting concept.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So back to Porter Wagner. 1974 is when they started to officially drift apart, and she started to like not appear on the show anymore.
Okay.
And that's when I Will Always Love You came out, because that was written about their professional break.
Yeah.
And then this has always been interesting to me. So I knew this before putting together the notes for this. So Elvis wanted to record I Will Always Love You, but in part Dolly was interested. But his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, which wasn't he like a skis ball? I don't know.
I mean, I think a lot of managers were back then. I think a lot of managers are now, but I mean, probably.
Yeah. So he told Dolly that it was, standard procedure basically, for the songwriter to sign over half of the publishing rights. And so she said, no, like, I'm not doing it. Elvis can't record my song.
Yeah.
And good thing she didn't, because now she's made millions in royalties, multi-millions. But anyway, so that's the year that came out in 1974. And it was just like crazy growth from there. She did lots of crossovers into pop, and then bluegrass, which isn't that far away from country. The pop was more of a
distance,
crossover. Yeah. And it just grew exponentially from there. So I mean, like from like 1987 to 2005, she went back from pop to very country and bluegrass, and then basically until 2020, she would do, some tours, some holiday albums, other collaborations, and um, yeah, and then after COVID, she was nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and initially declined at first because
Yeah.
she thought that,
She
it
didn't.
just has to be people who are
Yeah.
like rock.
Yeah.
To
Which
accept, and then
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
and then
has
ended up accepting.
always been music. It's I mean, for
Yeah.
years it's been other than just rock. It's kind of a music
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. So, but yeah, she doesn't tour anymore, does she? Did she
Like little things
retire
here
from
and there.
touring? Okay.
So my mom and I went to her last official like major tour. Now
Okay.
she'll still do shows and things like that, but
Yeah.
I don't think she's like touring anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I remember seeing
Yeah.
her on like a TV special for Christmas a few years ago, I think. So, I mean, I know she still does stuff, and obviously she's doing
Oh, she's still very active,
Yeah.
just not necessarily like a tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and she was just on Post Malone's new album. She had the Rock album that was collabs with like Paul McCartney. Like there were just massive names
Yeah.
in the last couple of years that she's still recording with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to listen to that Rock album because I kind of forgot about that even happening.
Yeah, it's good. I think it charted pretty high too.
Yeah, it did pretty well,
and
I
broke some
believe.
records.
Yeah. And then she's known for a bunch of different things. We've talked about that, and one of them is in Tennessee, and I don't know how far this is from her hometown, but Dollywood, which is actually where they have her like it's a recreation. I don't know if it's the actual cabin, but there's a recreation of the cabin that she grew up in, which is interesting. But yeah, so I've never been to Dollywood. I think it'd be
Shocker.
Are we surprised at all? Are we surprised at all? No, we're not. That's the answer. It was rhetorical. But so I used to be more of a theme park nerd than I am now. And used to look up like roller coasters to learn like stats on them and things because I was really bored and really nerdy. But Dollywood was one that I actually knew about anyway. It's a popular theme park. It's one of the top 5 in the countries on a regular basis. And it actually used to be owned, and still is partly owned, by the Hershon family, which owns Silver Dollar City in Branson, which is the park that I grew up going to all the time.
Yes, me too.
And I didn't realize they still owned part of it. I thought they sold it all to Dolly. But yeah, they bought it in the 70s and put a bunch of money into it, and then, kind of turned it into a theme park. It was actually called Silver Dollar City, Tennessee. So it was the second version
in the
of
early
the park.
stages, right?
Yeah, and then when Dolly bought into it, ended up getting renamed to Dollywood, and now it's they both are regularly top 10 theme parks in the country. But I just think it's interesting that she does have like a lot of her history and stuff there too, like the recreation of her house, and there's a show that you can go see that kind of tells the story of her life and stuff like that. So
yes. Yeah, and my favorite was the like little museum and all her different outfits and some of the really famous ones.
Yeah.
That was really, really cool because it's pictures and videos I've seen growing up my whole life. And then to like see the actual outfit there in person, I was like dumbstruck. I guess that's probably a pretty common thing for me, but to be dumbstruck. But that really got me. It was like, wow, you just don't, I don't know. I love museums like that too. But so have you ever been to any of her like dinner theaters?
I went
the Dolly Stampede
I went when it was the Dixie Stampede years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
When it was still a Dixie Stampede. I remember eating with my hands.
Yeah.
I remember being called down onto the floor as a kid to chase around chickens. And that's about the extent of it. I'm pretty sure I went with I'm 95% sure I went with my grandparents.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah. But I do remember going to it. Yes. Vaguely.
So I've been a couple times. At first, when just like you, we were eating with our hands. After COVID, they give you utensils. So you can go again and they'll probably give you utensils still.
Do the utensils like, does it really make a difference? Does that really make a difference with COVID? Like,
I don't know.
It's a,
But if we know the area around Silver Dollar City, how much should they really pay attention to the COVID protocols? I don't know. But yeah, so you mentioned chasing the chickens around. So Nathan and I got called down and got volunteered by my parents, I'm pretty sure, to do like the water bucket relay race where it's a relay and you have to dump the water to the next person.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what we got volunteered to do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I chase chickens around. That's what I'm pretty sure at, which isn't good for me because I don't like birds and birds don't like me. So probably that may have been where it started. I don't know. Actually, that's a possibility.
I didn't know this. Why do you not like birds?
Because birds don't like me.
Because of that?
No. Whoa. So birds.
How did you figure that out? How did you figure out birds don't like you?
So there's a few instances that I have come across over the years. We're going off on a tangent here, folks. So there's a few instances that have come across over the years of why birds and I don't get along. One, I have been crapped on by more birds than I know of in anybody else in their life. Like I got crapped on by a bird at Disney World. I got crapped on by a bird downtown here in Columbia. I got crapped on by a bird coming into my apartment a few months ago. It has happened to me at least probably 10 times in my life, which seems like a lot. That's a lot.
My number is 0.
Exactly. So why am I 10 and you're 0? That doesn't seem normal to me.
Okay, so birds hate you. Okay,
so birds hate me. Another instance that I realized that birds hate me is me and my dad, and my stepmom were at the Wonders of Wildlife thing at Bass Pro in Springfield.
Oh yeah,
which is like a. It's mostly an aquarium, but it's got some other animals. There's I think a bear, and there's like an eagle and some other animals in there. Well, I was standing there looking at an owl, and my stepmom made the comment like, "That owl never moves. He just sits there, or she just sits there. They just sit there." And I'm sitting there looking at the owl, not doing anything, just looking at him. And all of a sudden, it takes off flying straight for me with its claws like this, like it's going to attack me. And of course, there's a fence between me and him, so it wasn't a problem. But yeah, it looked like it tried to attack me. And yeah.
And it never moved before that.
Yeah, no, never moved.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm pretty sure, I don't know what I did to piss them all off.
Yeah.
But obviously they don't like me. And word's gotten around is what it seems like. They don't like me.
My first thought is like, what were you in your past life to piss off all the birds?
I don't know. But the feeling's reciprocated because obviously when I get crapped on every time, it annoys the crap out of me. So I don't, it's birds That's don't like me. I don't like them. So fun. Back to Dolly.
So we talked about Dollywood and her music career and then just her public image. So this is one of my favorite things about her. Like she fully knows how people perceive her, like on first glance. Like obviously if you know her, know what she's done, know her nonprofits, know her music, it's a different story. But just at first glance, she's always wanted to be like the trashy backwoods Barbie. Like she's always wanted to be that way.
So that's what she wants to. That's the goal.
Okay. Yeah. So in 2022, she said this many times, but this was a quote from 2022. So she said, "People wanted me to change. They thought I looked cheap, but I patterned my look after the town tramp from her growing up. And everyone said, she's trash. And in my little girl mind, I thought, well, that's what I want to be when I grow up." And then she says, that was the look I was after. It wasn't natural beauty. So I just like to look the way I look. I'm outgoing in my personality and I need my look to match all that. And so she has always repeated that story of she has always wanted to look like the town tramp, like a country girl's idea of glam, and that
Huh.
is always the vibe she's
Interesting.
gone for.
I've never heard
Yeah.
that before. I do remember hearing, though, and I don't know if this is true, but I remember hearing this,
Mm-hmm.
and I've heard it about a few different celebrities who are like, noticeably like have a look,
Mm-hmm.
that she accidentally got entered into a Dolly Parton lookalike contest once and came in third
And
or
lost.
something. Yeah, and lost or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. Like, how do you look more like Dolly than Dolly?
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is maybe because she's older now, and a lot of people like when they do like drag or dress up as her, it's sometimes like the younger,
Okay.
type outfits and things.
Maybe.
But
Or maybe
that's a maybe. I
or
have
maybe
no
she
idea.
wasn't as,
Glammed
up or over the top that day or something. But, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Anytime I hear those stories, I think they're funny because it's like, oh yeah, you lost in a U contest basically.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think Adele did the same thing. Granted, she had like a prosthetic nose and entered like a lookalike and singing contest and
Yeah.
lost. But yeah, so Dolly's public image, like she's very well aware of it and fully embraces it and leans into it.
Good for her.
I used to have like a sticker of this on my laptop in college, but her famous tagline is "It costs a lot to look this cheap." And that is like she says that all the time. And I love it.
That's
I
great.
just love when someone like leans into themselves and their personality and is authentically
them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what them is, but they're just them. And that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cuz I again, like I said before, it doesn't matter if you don't believe or don't agree with her politics or don't like her music or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She just seems like she's just a genuinely nice person. Like I don't know how you.
Well, and it's like, how do you know? So she stays neutral in all things political. She'll do like nonprofit work and is very, supporting of the LGBTQ community and things. But politically, she is perfectly neutral, like never talks about it. So it's like, how can you?
You can't.
I don't. Yeah, you can't even criticize on that. So what do you really have at the end of the day? You're going to criticize someone who is making music because it's fun and donates millions and millions to charities. How do you even criticize that?
Yeah. So big question. After we've been talking about Dolly Parton now for, well, besides the 2-minute rant on birds, 25 minutes or whatever. What is your favorite Dolly Parton song? You can only have one. We're talking one.
That's hard.
What is your favorite Dolly Parton song?
So before the last couple years, I think that Coat of Many Colors was my favorite.
Okay.
I love it because it's like a classic Dolly song. The meaning is just, and the story behind it is just amazing. And I love it.
Okay.
The last couple years, actually one of her newer albums, Pure and Simple, I don't remember what year it was in like 2018 or somewhere around there. Pure and Simple was the like single, the title of the album and also the song. That was at our reception what Casey and I danced to, because it's all about like there is nothing else to the relationship except you just love each other and that's it. There's nothing else.
That's nice.
And that was always one of my favorites. As soon as that album came out, I was like, that is such a good, that all of her songs have, well, not all, there's some silly ones and other like the rock album and things, but so many of them, because of the background she came from of like storytelling and the stories that were passed down literally like 6 generations of immigrants. Okay. Everything has a story and a meaning. And I love that.
Well, that's nice. Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Of the 2 songs that which one's your favorite?
Hey, I know 3.
Okay, now. Of the 3.
Actually, I know 4, but the 4th one was not written by her. So that's a different thing. I think 9 to 5 is it's just fun.
It is. It's an extremely fun song.
Yeah, it's just fun. I just like that one. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
I
know we're doing a movie episode about that, so I'll save my fun fact about that until the 9 to 5 movie episode, so that way people have to listen to it.
Push to the movie episode. Shameless plug. Shameless plug to the movie episode. But
which will be coming out the Wednesday after
it'll come out Wednesday. Yeah. Yep. So, but anyway, the other songs that I know, and I got in trouble when I told her this because I have a playlist that I have at work that I just put a bunch of songs on, and it just kind of shuffles through all of them. And I got in trouble because I only had 4 Dolly Parton songs on there, and it was is it 4? No, I think I only have 3 Dolly Parton songs on there.
I think it was 3, yeah.
It's Jolene, 9 to 5, and Islands in the Stream. That's it. Because the version
I mean, they're good songs.
They are good songs, but I got in trouble because I only had 3. And it was those 3 specifically that I had that got me in trouble because those are like the big ones, and I could have had other ones that were good too. Because the version of I will say, I Will Always Love You on that playlist, but it's the Whitney Houston one and not the Dolly Parton one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's still a really good version of it.
It's a great version of it. And I know that Dolly did the original, and the original's great. There's just something about Whitney's voice that is insane when she sings it.
Amazing.
But and not to disparage Dolly, because again, not trying to do that.
No, even Dolly's like, she did it way better, I think.
And Islands in the Stream is one that there's a version of it that the writers did because it's written by Barry Gibb of the Bee Gees. And
it's such a catchy one.
I like that one too. I actually like their version better than Kenny Rogers and Dolly. It's just,
really?
Yeah, it's a little more poppy, I feel like. And I like the way they use the instruments in it because it's got it just sounds a little different, and I do enjoy their voices specifically. Yeah. Dolly and Kenny do a great job with it. So again, don't get me wrong. Like, they do a great job. Not trying to disparage them, but
don't worry, Kev. I'm not going to yell at you.
I'm trying not to get yelled at. I'm trying to get yelled at as little as possible. So anyway, I think it's time for facts. Unless you have something else to talk about, we're going to go to facts.
No.
Okay. The sound is done.
I can't tell when the sound is over, so to me it's just like you're sitting there.
That's why I'm doing this. I'm just like telling you now. I'm just going to start telling you. Okay, it's done. It's your turn. Go for it.
Okay, so I have 2 facts.
Okay.
The first one is that Dolly has been married to her husband, Carl Dean, for over 55 years.
Dang.
And they first met when she was 18 in Nashville, when she moved to Nashville.
Dang.
Yeah, that's a long time. And
especially for a celebrity marriage. That's not something you hear very often in a celebrity relationship.
But he stays very much out of the limelight. I think
I didn't actually know she was married. So
yes, because I remember her saying in like an interview or something on a talk show in passing, like he went to like one event with me and then was like, I fully support you, but I'm never going to one of these ever again or something like that. So like very supportive and healthy, but just does not care at all about the limelight. I think he actually had like a construction company for his whole entire lifetime until he retired.
Interesting.
Just like very down to earth.
Does Dolly have kids?
No.
Okay.
She has a goddaughter, Miley Cyrus.
I think I knew that, actually, which is surprising. I'm probably sure I heard it from you.
Lots of nieces and nephews with all her siblings.
That makes sense with like
nope, they never have
other
kids.
Brothers and sisters. Interesting. Okay. I didn't think so, but I wasn't sure. So because I never hear anything about that, and you know, even if they're not in the limelight, you still usually hear or see something about them somewhere. So anyway, what is fact number 2?
So, though she is unable to read sheet music, which is also very interesting, she can play many instruments. So, auto harp, banjo, guitar, electric guitar, fiddle, piano, recorder, and saxophone. But she famously said, I ain't that good at none of it, but I try to sell it. I just try to really lay into it. So she does a lot, but can't read sheet music, but she will play a lot of instruments.
Good for her. Good for her.
Yeah.
I can't read sheet music really either, so, good for her.
Yeah.
I don't, mine is Dollywood specifically.
Ooh, okay.
The park actually is the number one the biggest ticketed tourist attraction in the state of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that doesn't surprise me.
Did not know that. That doesn't. Well, now that I think about it, it doesn't really surprise me because it's. I don't. No offense to Tennessee, but I don't really know what else is there.
I mean, Nashville and Memphis, but those aren't like.
But it's not like a place. It's not like a specific place that you're gonna like pay a ticket to go see.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because Nashville is like, it's a city. Of course, I'm sure, Nashville gets more visitors than Dollywood does. But Nashville's a city. It's not like, I don't pay a ticket to go, I don't pay a price and ticket to go into Nashville. So that's where the difference is. Also, another thing that I thought was interesting is one of the YouTube channels that I watch, they do a bunch of amusement parks and stuff. And they did a special episode where they went to Dollywood here recently. And because one of them is from that area, like that's their home theme park. And
gotcha.
I was watching, there is a ride there that is exactly the same as a ride I grew up going on, which is...
I remember you saying this.
Which is... It's Silver Dollar City. It is called Fire in the Hole. And they just spent like 20 some odd $1 million rebuilding the whole thing. Like they just built it in a new building in a new part of the park, and it's all been updated, but it's the same old ride. And then I watched them go on this one, and I don't remember what the name of it is, but I was like, that's Fire in the Hole. Like, that's the same flipping ride.
I love Fire in the Hole. That was always my favorite ride at Silver Dollar City. I was sad when they were like, we're getting rid of it. And then they were just like rebuilding it. I'm like, oh, okay. So I can still go and
I didn't actually know they were rebuilding it. I just heard like, we're getting rid of it. And I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. I mean, I know it's old, but it's kind of iconic to that park. And then a few months later, they're like, the new one's almost done. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I know. I don't think they really announced
What are you talking about? The new one's almost done.
Yeah.
So it's just, Dolly's just fun. Like she's a lot of fun. She's a nice person, and it's just
she's a queen.
There you go. She's a queen.
I wish I could meet her. Well, I'm jealous of the people who do get to meet her.
Imagination Library. Again, I don't know how you go do that. I don't know.
I tried to look. It's like a closed event or something, or you have to like have a child in it. Which, how dare they make you have a child for a children's charity event? Stupid. Anyways, thanks for indulging my love of Dolly and letting me do a Dolly episode.
Hey, I think we did a Lego episode that I was, part of. And that's, we just like to have fun. This is all about our friendship. Yes. So, that's insufficient. Which is why it's called Insufficient Friends. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you liked this, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Bye.